Hey guys, it's Cameron Fleming with the Fleming team, and thanks for tuning in to our channel. If you haven't, please like and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Today, we are going to be talking with Lauren Foster about down payment assistance here in the area. Lauren Foster has been the #1 mortgage loan officer to help people with SE State housing here in the area for the last 3 years. So she knows what she's talking about when it comes to down payment assistance. So we're going to bring Lauren in right now. All right, guys. So we have Lauren Foster here, and today we're like I told you, we're going to be talking a little bit about SE housing and down payment assistance and what's coming down the pipeline. Lauren's the expert. So Lauren, what do you have for us?
Hey, well, thank you so much for having me. I am honored to be on here with the Fleming team. This is so cool. Just to tell you a little about me, Lauren Foster, I'm the sales manager of the Guild Mortgage Columbia downtown or St. Julian Place office off of Forest Drive. My team, with the help of them, we have been the leader in South Carolina housing grants for the last 3 consecutive years. So our team does a lot of these. We're very comfortable with the program, and hopefully we can walk you through it and make sure it makes sense and make sure that you get some material afterwards and all the links. But just to kind of tell you, it goes off of household income. So the key to knowing whether you qualify for a grant or is going to be not just your income, but the total household. So anyone that they have living in there. So if you have a shared bank account with a family member who's not living in there, that has to be explained. There's just some rules you have to get set up first and foremost. But there's an $8,000 grant that hasn't gone away in years and years. There's always this misconception that funds aren't there. They are there. So it's sehousing.com. $8,000 grant that can be used towards closing costs, down payment. Um, Really, you're pretty open as to what you can do with it and what you need. And the programs they allow you to do on conventional, VA, FHA, and you can also partner it and do state housing with USDA. So there's a lot of options. You can do it on existing home sales or new construction. The purchase price max is 325. So there's a lot of room, and again, it's by total family size. So it's going to depend on your family size and what county you're in as to where you are. It's also you're supposed to be a first time home buyer, which means you have not owned a house in the last 3 years. Um, there are some exceptions to that when it comes to single parents, children with disabilities. There's also a loophole, not loophole, but if you're buying in what's called a non-targeted county, so outside of your main counties in more rural areas, usually of South Carolina, they will waive that first time homebuyer clause. You just can't own a house at the time of closing. So you want to make sure you're talking to someone who works with the program or someone at state housing to see if you qualify, if you think you might not, because you might. So there's some really cool things. Um, so with that being said, there's another program. My little tab went away. Let's see if I can find it. There's another new program that they've got right now, and it is called County First Initiative. And basically, it's just an additional $500. It's $8,500 for the more rural areas. Um, Abbeville, Allendale, Bamberg, Barnwell, Georgetown, and so it's an additional $500. And again, in most of those counties, the first time home buyer has been waived. So you can't have owned a house in the last 3 years. You just cannot own one at the time of closing.
Nice.
So there's some pretty cool things. I think there's a misconception that a lot of realtors have that you have to have an extra inspection and there's a lot more legwork with these files. As long as you have someone that knows what they're doing, it's really not that bad, y'all. I promise. So the only things you have to be cautious of, you need a clear CL 100 at closing.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter which program it is, you have to have a clear CL 100.
Right.
And the other part is that you don't have to have any kind of special inspection. Now they used to have a state housing inspector sign off for a home inspection. They don't require that. So basically, just the clear CL 100 at the time of closing. And then the seller has to fill out an affidavit in addition to like an FHA mandatory or anything that has to be signed, they have to fill that out. And the package has to go through two underwriters. So it has to go through, if you're using Guild, it has to go through Guild and then State Housing. Or if you're using another bank or mortgage company, it has to go through them and then State Housing. So you just want to make sure you're with a mortgage company that does them regularly, knows the process, the flow. They make it pretty easy if you're used to working with them. You upload everything through their website. Their turnaround time right now is 24 hours.
Nice.
So 24 hours from initial approval, you get it back, and then once you send them back the conditions, they always try to clear them the next morning. So as long as you've gotten a role and know what to look for, it's good. The big things you have to look out for are things you'd have with any program, just making sure you're sourcing deposits, especially when it comes to income. They want to make you have to have tax transcripts for their program or tax returns for the last 2 years. So just making sure that you or your client um, get all of those documents in ahead of time. So when we do a pre-qual for someone and we tell them they're doing state housing, we're like, okay, this looks great. We're going to go ahead and request the following information so we can have your file set up. And as
Right.
long as you're rolling, get everything in advance, you should be able to turn it out. And people are taking them. They know as long as they know. I mean, agents as long as they feel like the lender knows what they're doing and they're state housing certified. And this market's changing a little bit.
Mhm.
We're getting them under contract now, so we're just really grateful to be partnered with state housing and helping these first time buyers.
Right, yeah, and that's really why I wanted to have you on, Lauren, because as for the last couple of years, it has been tough if you weren't
Yeah.
conventional or cash. But we're seeing the market become more healthy, a little bit more of a healthy market where, buyers can come in and use some of these down payment assistance programs to purchase a home. So I think it's going to be a real wave coming here soon with people leveraging these down payment assistance programs. And so we're excited to have you share a little information to our viewers about it. Now, what would you say is the biggest hurdle when we're looking at down payment assistance?
Okay, so the biggest hurdle would be to make sure that you get in all of your paperwork, the
Hmm.
total household income, which I can't stress enough,
Hmm.
and you want to be cautious of your debt to income ratios. So you really want to get qualified in advance and make sure that you understand what that means. Like talk to a mortgage lender, make sure you understand, okay, so we need to get your income and then figure out your housing expense divided by your income to see what your front ratio is going to be. But more importantly, they stress that back ratio. So
Hmm.
the one of the biggest hurdles that I've seen people hit that they don't realize is that FHA will allow you to go higher, but they
Hmm.
have a set back ratio of 45%. So you want to make sure that you hit there, and that your housing expense plus your any other liabilities divided by your income is less than that 45% ratio. It's a pretty simple calculation, but you need to make sure you have a loan officer that can kind of walk you through that. The other thing is it's not too bad, but they do require a 620 credit score.
Oh,
Um, so that's your credit score. On conventional, they don't have a minimum, so to speak, as long as it gets accepted. But for the FHA program, it's a 620 right now.
okay.
So you just want to make sure your credit gets pulled, that you've got everything set up. And in this market, I mean, we're getting a little more normal, right? Like we're having open houses, we're having houses sit for 10 to 14 days, but you
Right.
still want to make sure you get pre-qualified before you're out there looking with y'all, because
Yeah.
you want to make sure that you're comfortable with your monthly payment and
Hmm.
anything it entails. The other big thing that we want to say is if a loan officer tells you this is your max, especially when that debt to income's tight, make sure they're factoring in some wiggle room because interest rates have been up and down and all around. And then the next part is that HOA, if there's a homeowners association, that comes into play with your debt to income ratio, and you want to make sure that gets factored in and not forgotten as well. Just kind of eliminate last minute surprises. So make sure you're working with you. You're a
Yeah.
good agent who's got like a good checklist and
Right.
a lender checklist, making sure they have all of everything figured out ahead of time. You can't be too over prepared as far as getting your documents and making sure you're on top of it.
Okay, great. Yeah. Well, we appreciate all that information. Now, You do SC State Housing, but you also do other products as well. Tell us a little bit about the other products that
Oh
you.
my gosh, there's so much. So we don't just limit to first-time home buyers.
Mhm.
Guild has an amazing bridge product right now, and basically what that allows you to do, it's pretty cool. You take the equity from your existing house, and it allows you to use that as funds or collateral for your down payment for your next house and apply it towards that purchase.
Wow.
The one cool thing about it is that we can actually eliminate that current housing payment and just use the next one on the program. So that's pretty neat.
Nice.
Um, we also have a program that we're not using as much as we thought we were at the beginning because it's
Mm.
loosened up a little bit, but it's great and it's perfect for the right buyer. And it's called Cash Pass. It's a conventional program, and you can submit all of your documents ahead of time. And what we allow you to do is we give you underwriting approval ahead of time and allow you to present your offer as cash, kind of like a ribbon if you've heard of that, but it's all in house with Guild. So basically, we do a 3-week closing and say that you can close and you have our back. But if we do not close on your loan, that Guild will still allow you to close and buy it in cash. So that's a pretty cool option that we have rolling out now too. So
Nice. Awesome.
those are two of my favorites, I
That's right. Great
guess.
one. Well, yeah, I really appreciate you coming on. We can, unless you have anything else, we can wrap it up, and um, we'll share this with our viewers. And one of the things I want all you guys to know is I really enjoy working with Lauren. So I do think it's important that when you are choosing a real estate agent, that you also work with a lender that they're used to working with, because that relationship can really make the difference between a smooth process and a not so smooth process. So when you're looking at choosing your real estate agent, make sure you're listening to those recommendations that they have with lenders, because they've been here, there, and everywhere when it comes to financing, and they know who's going to do a good job and who's not. So that's something I definitely want to recommend to you guys.
Absolutely. Well, I'm just so grateful to be here, and I'll share flyers and some content with you. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out. We would love to help and let you know any other things that you need to know about the program.
Great. Thanks, Lauren.
Thanks. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.